The first hadith is about the intention. I thought about that. Why?
Results from Allah, there's a great sense of peace that can come.
I give always one example that I really love it. I want to give it again here.
Welcome, everyone. I have Dr. Salih Yucel with me today. He is one of our lecturers at Isra and Chancellor University, but he's also a pioneer in chaplaincy. I had to put that in. But today we're here. Firstly, welcome, Dr. Salih.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. We want to talk about intention, the importance of intention and positive outlook on well-being. Now, intention you've mentioned first. Why is intention so important?
Well, as we know that after the Quran, one of the primary sources or the first primary source of Islam is Imam Bukhari's hadith book. When we look at that book, the first hadith is about the intention. I thought about that. Why? Because he collected, hundreds of thousands of hadiths, and he put about 10,000 hadith in his book. Why he did the first one about the intention? So when I look at that, I realized that the hadith related to the intention, was narrated from 700 different channels. That shows the importance, of the intention. In addition, according to Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, a well-known muhaddith, he says that when the Prophet arrived in Medina, the first khutbah, it was about the intention. Just imagine the Prophet is immigrating to Medina, and the people are waiting, and they are expecting him to give probably the best message, and the Prophet is giving to the intention. And then when we examine the scholars' work, for example, according to Imam Shafi, rahmatullah alayh, as you know, one of the leading scholar, he says that the intention is half of the religion. Ahmad bin Hanbal calls intention 1/3 of the religion. And Said Nursi, he said that it took 40 years for me to learn 4 words. The first one is intention. And that all of that shows that how the intention is important for our daily life as well as spiritual life.
Wow, it sounds like it's very important. And I guess it's so important, but is it easy to achieve? Like, what are some of the obstacles to having right intention?
Well, it is not easy, but it is not very difficult as well. So when I say it's not easy, because we have our nafs and many other obstacles that, it can have a negative impact on our intention. However, the intention is the foundation of the good deeds as well. If we don't have good intention, then our good deeds has no value in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, when we have a good intention, we win in this world as well as in the next, inshallah. The reason because having a good intention is not going to impact negatively your work. In contrary, it will impact positively. And however, when we like to do something, maybe the financial things comes to our mind, our nafs jumps in. Some people may do it for the fame or for the fear or for other things, for other emotions. But I think we should try always to have, a sincere intention before every good deed.
I guess, we're living in a world that's very result driven, and you probably see this. We see it in our work environment too, which isn't bad, because when you have goals, you try to achieve them, but they can sometimes, be the main driving force. Like as in you want to have so many students enrolled, or you want to write so many articles. How do you balance, I guess, having those goals with intention?
Well, I think when we write a book or even produce something like that, our intention should be first, I am going to learn from that, instead of I am, preaching or teaching to others. The second point, with good intention, every moment of our daily life can be transformed as an act of worship. For example, let's say we sit on the table for the dinner. When we say Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim and we start eating, and if we think that this food is like from the Jannah, from the paradise, this water is from Kawthar or from Zamzam, what are we going to lose? Nothing. But then with such intention, let's say you go for a picnic. Yeah, you can look at around, to see the beauty, to the flowers, the trees, and, the skies and so on. It's beautiful. But when we look at with the good intention, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made all of that things in a beautiful way, in a perfect way. And through the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then our picnic, the time that we spend for the picnic, it will be transformed as an act of worship. So therefore, we can make it actually, 7/24 or 24/7 as an act of worship with the good intention. However, when we say good intention, also we should have the right things as well. We cannot say I'm going to steal with good intention, of course.
Of course, yeah. As you're speaking, it sounds very powerful. Mindset, heart set. I also think of it, it's a heart set, but it seems very strongly linked to how God conscious we are. I guess because you can say, all right, I'm going to have the right intentions with everything, and then tomorrow I lapse back into doing things on autopilot. So how do we address that? Do you have any tips on that?
Well, we are humans. That's a fact of the life. We are not angels, definitely. That would happen sometimes. However, to renew our intention, I think it will be good. And second, we should see the value of good intention, because when we have the right intention, purely, particularly in Islam, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we are using or channeling all our emotions for the good purpose, because good intention will lead, the emotions for the purpose of the creation, and that will bring also the happiness. So yes, sometimes we may up and down, we may not have like always be conscious about that, because having up and down even is good as well, because that will give us an opportunity, to think about it again, and also try to renew our intentions. It means that it's more rewarding. So therefore, I think even our nature, with good intention, alhamdulillah, it purifies our nafs, and also it leads us to happiness and satisfaction.
True. I think you touched on that positive emotions, happiness. One thing I personally reflect on is, when you have, good intentions, then you don't really care what other people think. You don't really care what, what outcome comes, because, results are from Allah. There's a great sense of peace that can come. And could you expand on that? Yeah.
Well, with good intention, there is no failure, I can tell you, because we are expecting our rewards in hereafter, not in this world.
I like that. With good intention, there's no failure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because, if our intention is pure, no doubt we will get the rewards in the hereafter. If Allah wishes, we may get the good result in this world as well. And therefore, through the good intention, how it's related, to the happiness and satisfaction. Let's think about our daily life. With our actions, we eat, we drink, we sleep, and we study, we work, we visit, and so on. We play. If we don't have good intention, just for purpose of eating and drinking, the animals, they do as well. I love Ibn Sina's theory of intellectual satisfaction. Sorry, the happiness. He classifies happiness in 3 levels. He argues that the first level is, animal satisfaction or animal happiness. Animals, they eat, they drink, and they're happy with these actions. But he says that human being is not created for this. So the second one, he says, imaginary satisfaction or imaginary happiness. Let's say having a good job, a good house, a good car, a good income, and so on. But he says that will not bring the real satisfaction as well. I think he's right, because when we look at the people of the developed countries today, they have all of that, but they are not happy. They are not happy.
No.
So it means that that imaginary satisfaction will not bring the real happiness. And the third
Mm.
one, according to Ibn Sina, he says intellectual satisfaction.
Okay.
There is a notion, probably you heard about that, an expression in academia. They say a plumber makes more money than a professor. So then in such case, why we are studying, writing, reading, but our jobs brings intellectual satisfaction.
Mm.
So that intellectual satisfaction, you cannot exchange anything with anything, not with the worldly, possession or so. So if I ask you, Dr. Zuleyha, can you tell me, your the most happiness time? You will not say, well, 15 years ago I had a doner kebab.
Mm.
You won't remember, but you will say, well, we educated people. Now they are doing good things in the mosque or in the universities or in the society. I know some of them, they are quite successful. They have a very good spiritual life. That will bring intellectual satisfaction to you. So therefore, Ibn Sina says that in the zenith of intellectual satisfactions, they are the prophets. Because, they live for others to bring happiness and satisfaction spiritually, socially, physically to the community. So as long as we do this, and we will be happy. But of course, the key, the foundation is when we are doing this is to have good intention.
Good intention, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. That intellectual satisfaction, when you, I guess, learn something new or you grasp something new, you feel like a new world has opened up to you. There's just this amazing experience that a doner kebab cannot have the same effect on you. It's just incredible. It's a complete experience. And I think that's a very well put point.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing you mentioned, or I guess that you mentioned that is important for well-being is positive outlook. What do you mean by positive outlook?
Try to understand the wisdom behind everything. When we look at the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for example, he would perform his tahajjud, and then he goes out and look at the skies, heavens, and would weep, and then would say, "Rabbana ma khalaqta hadha batila," or Allah, you did not create this in vain. So when we look at the surrounding us, whatever we see, either we can look at what we call nabawi or the prophetic outlook, or like a disbelief outlook. When we look at the prophetic outlook, for example, if someone dies, we will say, well, he is going to meet with his Lord. He's going to meet with the prophets, with the companions, with the good people. That's our wish. But if we look at from the disbeliever perspective, it's vain. It's going to be, under the soil and life's finished, no, nothing more. So therefore, having positive outlook for everything. Even as I said that, if you look at a tree, you can say that, this is a piece of wooden. But someone, when they look at from the Nabawi outlook, even when they look at the branches or the leaves of the tree, they say, look, it's like this, they're making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the way how we see. It's the way how to see. So I think the positive outlook, we can look at everything through the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me say, you see that a mother is suckling her baby. We should see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy is reflected on that action. When we see, let's say, a tree is providing fruits to us in a beautiful, perfect way, and we should see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name, Al-Latif, the generosity is reflected there. So, or, when we look at, as I said, a tree that Allah created this tree and created me as well. Allah is the sustainer of this tree and my sustainer as well. So I can connect myself through everything through the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what does it mean? It means that we are living like in a world in a spiritual life, in happiness and satisfaction, because this is nurturing my soul, my heart, my mind. And of course, that will help even for physical well-being as well. Because, when you have they're connected, that is, according to Imam, Ibn Sina, actually, whatever we perceive through our five senses, it's connected to our mind. But according to Al-Ghazali and Sayyid Nursi, whatever we perceive through our five senses is connected to our heart. So when we look at with the eyes of the wisdom, hear good things, touch good things, taste good things, and smell good things, and that will bring also, intellectual satisfaction as well. It will bring happiness. So if you don't look at with the eyes of the wisdom, why this is happening, why and why and why this is, even I see some people when there's a rain, it's a terrible. Why terrible? It's rahmah, it's mercy. It can't be terrible. So see how we look at it, how we look at it. If I see that for each drop is rahmah, mercy, or I can say that it's terrible. So the first one is positive outlook. Second one is negative outlook. I think when we face challenges, difficulties, this is a test for us. It means that this is developing actually our ability. Let me say,
so when we have very difficult situations, you mean, like when it's
that's right. We
like war scenarios, poverty.
If there was no difficulties in traveling, would human being invent the cars, the jets, no, trains, no, because such difficulties, motivate them to find the solutions. Therefore, when we face such difficulties, there are two aspects of that. One of them, as I said, that will help us to learn, to improve our skill. And, the second one is, I love Al-Qushairi's expression. He says, if you are not tested with the qurb, the people surrounding you, you cannot gain the station of qurb, which means the nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, if I look at, what is happening around me, whether my friends or colleagues or the people, they're not treating me well. If I look at from the negative perspective, I've said, oh, why this is happening? This is terrible. This is wrong.
Why me?
Why me? But if I think positively, I would say, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing me, with my children, with my family or my close friends. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to be nearer to him. So if I look at from that angle, then I would have resilience. I would have sabr, to overcome.
It's the me again.
These difficulties, yes. So again, here, if I look at positively, a good result. If I look at negatively, it will bring hatred in my heart, cause more psychological problems, depression, anxiety. But if I look at from the positive outlook, that will bring, one of my friends, he had a problem with his son. I said, look, he was complaining and so on. I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open a new door for you, to make dua for you, so your son, to help him, to work on him. So he's going to be the cause of for your happiness in the hereafter. Don't look at positively, not negatively.
Yeah, I think it's the sunnah way, isn't it? Adversity equals opportunity. So as you said, with the adversities, it really does give us an opportunity, because if we don't experience adversity, we would just be sitting on our couches doing nothing. Whereas when you have those challenges, it's like, okay, how do we get around them? How do we address them? But in the meantime, those who may not be able to, I guess, benefit from the opportunities, knowing that they're going to get their reward with Allah, as in, that closeness to Allah.
Yes, I think every human being actually has potential power to deal with such difficulties. However, many are not aware of this.
Why do you think they're not aware?
Well, because that needs role models, that needs good education, that needs guidance, that needs help, And also when we look at the universe, everything is in motion, from atom to galaxies. So as a human being, we should be in motion as well. How? If you don't go for the work, if you don't face difficulties, if you don't face challenges, if you don't have illnesses, if you don't have happiness. So if you're a robot, can we enjoy our life?
Won't, and there's no growth, and we won't enjoy it. Actually, it'll be very stationary, basic.
Yes, that's why we should be in motion as well. So how can we be in motion? I think we go for the work, we study, we face the challenges, each challenges becomes a stick for us, maybe even to become more spiritual. So when we look at from the positive outlook, and alhamdulillah, then everything becomes beautiful, whether by consequence or relative beauty. Because either could be essential beauty or could be relative beauty. For example, illness, we don't want to get ill, of course. That's human nature. But when we get ill, when we get sick, if we say that, well, think about, oh, I am mortal. I should be ready for the life in hereafter. And second, I'm very weak. A virus is, how impacting my health. So don't be arrogant. You cannot defeat even a virus at the end of the day. And therefore, it reminds us many other things. If you look at, and in addition, when you get sick, the people around you try to help you, the doctors, the nurses, the family members. So all of them, they get rewards because of that. Yeah, when you're healthy, who cares?
Yeah.
So when we look at the eyes of the wisdom, and even whatever is happening, it's happening with the purpose. So as a human being, it's our duty to explore this purpose, whether we can or we cannot, but we should struggle for that. I think when we have a good intention and strive for that, sooner or later we will be able to grasp the wisdom of whatever is happening to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's something I think about often, in the sense, inshallah, we get to grasp the wisdom of things. But I think when you have that relationship with Allah, where you trust that He is the all-wise, I sometimes think, Allah, even if I don't understand the wisdom, I trust in your wisdom, and I trust that there is wisdom, so that and that depends on a relationship. It's like, I guess, if Dr. Salih, I trust you, and you might do something, and I might think that's strange, but I would be like, I trust Dr. Salih's decision making, and therefore I trust that there is wisdom in that, even though I don't understand it fully. Yeah. Do you ever think that way as well?
Well, when you trust Allah, this is the beginning of good intention, because you are thinking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most merciful, most gracious. Whatever Allah is, doing for the wisdom. And therefore I should understand the wisdom of that. I give always one example that I really love it. I want to give it again here. When we look at the Karbala tragedy, we know what happened. It is a tragedy. How could a Muslim or a hypocrite go and kills the grandson of the Prophet and his family, and even chop off his head, and do not perform even their funeral service, janazah prayer? We cannot understand that. But after that, what we know, because of the tyranny of some of the Umayyad rulers, all Ahl Bayt and those who loved them, they left Middle East. Where did they go? Asia, Central Asia, Indonesia, China, in today's India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Africa, Anatolia. Wherever they went, they took Islam with them. So the tragedy, behind, today we have over 800 million Muslims in Asia, whether in South Asia and subcontinent. So can we say that? Look at the results.
Asia is the biggest Muslim country. Indonesia is the largest Muslim population continent, and Indonesia the largest Muslim population country. I guess, flipping that the other way, if we would say, I wish that tragedy didn't happen, then you wouldn't have those 800 million Muslims potentially. So when you think of it that way, it's like, yes, it was a big sacrifice, it was tragic, but look at what came out of it. Yeah.
Look at the consequence. Then we say, yes, that was a tragedy, but the consequence is beautiful. So I think we should look at everything. What will be the consequence? Let's say our students, they sit down for exam, they do their homework and essays. It's a bit not easy, of course. Anxiety, depression. But when they get their degree, particularly during the the day of graduation, you see their happiness with tears. What happened in the last couple of years? All are forgotten. And therefore, we should think about the results, the positive consequence of that what we are doing, the challenges that we are facing, or the blessing we are facing, and we should try to find out the consequence of that, whether in this world, and it could be in hereafter as well, because we have a strong faith in hereafter, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you. Do you have any last thoughts that come to your mind that you didn't get a chance to share, or last piece of advice for our listeners?
Well, we say that Iman necessitates, to Tawheed. And Tawheed necessitates submission. And submission necessitates, tawakkul, reliance. And tawakkul, reliance brings happiness in this world and the next. So let's have a good intention for everything and acting positively, trying to understand the wisdom behind the events and whatever is happening, well, either to us or to humanity. And also, try to have intellectual satisfaction in our daily life. And when we have that intellectual satisfaction, it will be rarely that you will be depressed. Even when you are depressed, we will call it a sacred, like a sacred husn, sacred depression. And even the consequence of that, it will be beautiful, inshallah. So let's have a good intention, think positively, and see the good things behind everything.
Inshallah, we all get to taste that intellectual satisfaction that seems to be so important. So thank you for your time, and inshallah, see you at the next podcast. Thank you.